Yeah, I think I might have went a little far with the contrast and everything and the adjusting it all. So, but I think it'll be easier to see. To be honest, it's just until I can get a different camera. I mean, these are great, but they're not all that great for filming hot metal. So we post this up on the fan group page, and then we will get started here. I might actually, um, well, let me just check something here. I'm just gonna check the. It's still pink, so I don't think that's worth it. So I'm gonna go change these settings here real quick, and we'll get started. So this will be a relatively quick episode here, considering we're only doing. I'm just gonna show you one hanger, and we got to draw out the ends and all of that stuff, but it's relatively quick. You just got to wait for my program to open up so I can adjust this. But we'll get there. Yeah, I like these cameras, but I'm not really a fan of how they perceive color changes. So um, I guess I'm just gonna have to go try it again. It's really dark. It's way too dark. There we go. Yeah, I mean that's just way too dark. I mean, yeah, it cuts down on the amount of glare, but holy cow, I mean, there's no way I'm gonna be able to use that. So we're gonna just get everything in the shot here, lift this up so that you guys will be able to see the jig when we get it on there. For right now, I need to play around with video here. There we go. Substantially better. Wow. Okay. And camera control, because this one got all fuckered up too. Yeah. So the exposure is one thing that being able to play with helps, but it's not automatic. That's the only problem I have with these things. Ooh, that's almost too bright right there though. Is that they're not automatic. I mean, that's not bad, but it's still really dark. I'm gonna go with that right there, and we will just deal because that's as good as I'm gonna get without fucking everything up. All right, boom. Okay, so you guys are going to be able to see everything that I'm doing here. Um, no real close, up and close, shots because I'm going back and forth between the vise and the anvil after, after the fact. So this is, you guys can see that here. See it pretty good. Don't pay attention to my weld. Let me get a little bit higher viewpoint here for you guys so we can look down on what I'm using here. Okay, so this is our bending jig. We could take our metal and we could easily, and I mean easily, make these. We could easily make these little hangers here, but we could not easily replicate them 100%. So let me get this angle a little bit better here. We could not get them 100% without that jig. And there's still a little bit of play in each one of these that makes them slightly different. And that comes from making the actual hanger that hangs on the pot rack. So this portion here, which is fine with me. You know, they're not perfect. I'm really okay with that. And if the client's not okay with that, oh well. Don't go to a blacksmith because nothing is going to be absolutely perfect unless you're doing everything mechanically or with a machine that can calculate to within such and such amount of an inch. Don't go to a damn blacksmith. The whole point of smithing is that you get different angles that maybe you couldn't have gotten otherwise, or that you get that handmade look. Um, I just don't understand it personally. Why you go to a blacksmith, other than you don't know what a blacksmith is, and this is quite possibly true. Go to a blacksmith, have a project done, and then tell the blacksmith that the blacksmith can't do anything blacksmithing. I don't know. So I'm not. I don't really understand it. But let me check something here real quick. It is what it is, I guess. So just gonna do a sound check here. Sweet. All right, that worked. Yeah. So I don't know. I really, I truly don't know. And it's getting to the point now to where I just don't want to fuck around with shit. I mean, Mark McVeigh is getting there in his smithing. Um, that is really, really close to damn near perfect. He's one of the few that I know personally that is on that track that where he could, with some hard work, because he does it all by hand, um, could duplicate almost perfectly. And but even he still used jigs. Even he uses a jig, and he's gone down a path of blacksmith of smithing that is entirely entirely um, architectural in nature. So he has. God damn it! Now you can't see my face again. He has his metal fabrication business that he has going on, and he's building more and more towards blacksmith work within his fabrications, and just absolutely mind-boggling. Not really. Well, it's not mind-boggling. I guess it's absolutely beautiful. It's not mind-boggling yet. Um, Everything that he has done is easily replicated with time behind an ammo. And he doesn't have a lot of time behind the ammo. I mean, he's come a long way from when I first met him. And so, oh, April Fool's, guys, we're not really gonna forge anything. We're just gonna sit here and talk. No, I'm just kidding. we're gonna um, we're gonna forge this down. This is 3/8 square, right? We're gonna forge it down to right around 1/4 inch. Um, at least the tip of the hook, the hanger will be 1/4 inch. So, anyways, he's getting there, and I want to commit myself. I've committed myself mainly to being a tool maker, um, not being an architectural smith, um, which is fine, but I still like to dabble in it. And here pretty soon, I'm just going to take some time, and I'm going to build my gate. I'm going to build a gate that'll follow me wherever I go, but it's going to be that demonstration of this is what I do. I don't do this. I do this. I don't weld anything. You know, I hot collar and heat shrink and pin and wedge, make slip joints, and that's what I do. Um, I don't. I'm not wanting to really get into welding blacksmith projects. I weld my forges together. I weld stands together, but I don't want welding to be part of um, my smithing. And if, I mean that somebody that comes to me for a gate is going to be they're going to pay through the nose because it's art mixed with structure and use. Um, there's a lot of work that goes into putting together a project that doesn't have any welds in it and it's still square, right? Square, it's strong, it's sturdy, and I've never built anything like that size of that size. But like anything else, I just throw myself at it and make it happen. So, all right. I need to rehandle my hand. All right, so we're going to take this out and we are going to forge it down. We want it to stay square. And it doesn't take much to get it from 3/8 to right around 1/4 inch. The only reason I'm even doing this is because the client wants it done. He wants a 1/4 inch. So I'm getting it close. what I had available at the time. Now, there is some things to help mitigate pinching and sucking. So each one of these has a degree of pinching around the bends. There are a couple ways you can mitigate that. You can upset that area, measure everything out, make sure that your upset is going into that final bend every time, and you're going to cause yourself a lot of grief, in my opinion, trying to be that precise. Um, but you can do it. Or you can do your bend and go a little bigger on your bend, and you can upset that back into itself after it's already bent. And it's relatively cold, right? You still can't touch it with your hands. And you upset that all back into itself, which is what we did on this one. And it does make a rather nice, bend in there. Or on these three, which still has a little bit of pinching, and I can go in here and clean these up and upset these down a little bit, which I still might do before we take them tomorrow. It is you leave this thick, and you'll see me. I won't forge this all the way out to 1/4 inch, right? So up here on the back side of the hanger, it's 3/8 all the way, and then next down 1/4 inch. Um, when it's hanging, it's damn near imperceptible, unless you're looking for it, right? So if you're worried about the pinch on a hard bend, on a really hard tight bend, you can upset it. You can leave it at the original thickness. If you're looking for 1/4 inch and you're using 1/4 inch and you're worried about the pinch, you're gonna have to upset it no matter what, whether after the bend or before the bend. There's no two ways about it. And it's going to be a little bit longer, and it may not be as straight as you originally did it, and it may not be as clean as you originally want it, but it will have 1/4 inch going into the bend and 1/4 inch coming out of the bend. I myself am not worried about it. I don't care. I mean, you could also bend these cold, and it would have less pinching if you did it cold. Um, but that's a whole lot of extra stuff to set up on a jig, because if you bend it cold, you have to have it short. So then you lose your leverage to get it around that corner, and you have to use other means to do it. And in this case, if you're doing it cold, you would most likely have to use a hydraulics to do it, to get a nice bend without the pinching. Um, it would just bend right over. It would also create very, very minute stress fractures within the structure of the steel. Now, with something like this being a pot rack, and that the heaviest thing you're ever going to hang on it is a pot, an empty pot or an empty pan. In this case, it's going to be copperware. It's going to be on it. Bending it cold and having those minute, ever so, fractures in there, not a big deal. Also, I'm not worried about this is because this is going to be up, and what you're going to see, they'll see it at the beginning, right? But they'll never see it again unless they take the hook off. but I'm not worried about it. This pinching in here, I will clean a little bit of that up to take the kind of lips off, because as you bend it, it curls over on itself. I will take these down a little bit cold to just upset that and take that and which will widen that out, take that lip out. Now these were bent at 3/8 up here, so there's a lot. It's a lot closer to what it should be than the first one I did when I hammered it all out to 1/4 inch, which is and that looks really bad. It's just so small. With these up here, it's really, you look at them and you can see it, but it doesn't look bad. Um, it's Smith. It's not Smith. He didn't want a lot of smithing in these. Um, what I assume he's alluding to was he didn't want a lot of rough surface in it. Well, he's going to get this, and it's going to look old, and it's going to look exactly what he wanted. And he doesn't have to necessarily know just how much smithing went into it, because to make it old, you gotta rough it up. Period. All right. See how pink that is on there? I just don't like it. Where is my other hammer at? Looking for my, oh, there it is. My dog's head. I can planish these out here. Make sure everything's nice and straight. Okay. Now we're gonna heat that back up into our first bend. Well, we'll do the entire hook or hanger. We got to come around. Here's our block. Come around, set it, and then come back with it. Jigs are cool. They get stuff done quick. This one can be used for a variety of different hooks and hangers. It's going to make a relatively large. I call it. This is about 1 3/4 hook, and that is off the wall. So 1 3/4 in here, give or take. And it's going to make a relatively large hanger. Now I could do this. I could draw this out, and we could have our curly Q on this side right here against the block, come around, boom, and done, and then cut, smash. There's our screw head holes and stuff like that. So this this little jig will get used for a variety of other hangers. make this nice hard bend here, you're going to have to play around and make sure everything is good. Now this is the other one. This is what we do. Now we don't heat it back up. We come right back with it kind of cold, not entirely cold. If you try and do it hot, it's not going to bend right. And that's how you do a hanger. Use our little crescent wrench here to bring it up off there. Now it's pinched and it's doing everything you don't want it to do. Not a big deal. Come in here with your hammer. And it's gonna widen out a little bit. You'll be wanting to go all crazy. No big deal. If you're unhappy with your hook size, take it down. Push it in. It's not that bad. That's actually pretty good. And we're really close to what all the others are. Now we're going to take and cut this real quick here. And then go on to the next, just some straightening and stuff like that. I guess I could have left that on there. That's what I did last time. I didn't take this off. That's right. So how I've been doing these, I just remembered, is I hook this in here like that, let it sit there, come over here with our angle grinder, and we have, let me get my other hook here. I had one I was measuring all of them with. Decided to grow legs and walk off. Anyways, we'll just use one of these other ones. Not that big deal. I come in here, I'm going to mark where I want that cut. Dude, I swear, if my head wasn't attached, I would lose it. Take my soapstone, come in here and give it a little mark there. Get a new cutoff wheel here. Oh. stick our piece back in the fire. Make sure we don't step on our hot hook down there. And now it's just about, well, there's that hook right there. Tell you, man, he's right in front of me. I just didn't see it. Now we're just all about alignment, making sure that everything is upset appropriately. A bit of a bend right there, no big deal. That was from when I forged it the first time. And we got a little bit bigger on the back end, and so we want to take that down a little bit. So you just continue playing with your piece here until you have it exactly how you want it. Each one will be slightly different, but a blacksmith that tells you that their job is to make everything look exactly the same, blowing smoke up your ass. Because if you're a blacksmith, your job is literally not to make it look machined. That's especially a modern day blacksmith. Once again, slightly different, but in the scheme of things, they all match up. Each one's a little bit different, but just looking at them, they're exactly what you would expect it to be. These parts hang over the flat bar for the rack. These parts you hang your pots on. And that's it. That is using a jig to make a hanger. And I mean, like I said, you can get these things just dead nuts. But then you're moving into more realms of, you know, it's duplication and exact perfection than it is blacksmithing. Blacksmithing today is a craft, an art form. Um, and if you're a blacksmith like myself that tends to pride himself on the old ways of doing things, but isn't closed off to new ways, um, this is perfect, especially if a person wants it to look old, because nothing was perfect in the old days. Just wasn't. Um, and even you get masters out there that are making these ornate pieces, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. Or like Mark's. piece he just got done. Um, they are not perfect. You know, you get up there with a tape measure, and now knowing Mark, his is probably only out like a hundredth of an inch. Knowing Mark, but there are slight differences in each and every one of them. Especially when you start putting twists in them and you start bending over the diamond. You'll understand that. We'll do another live show on bending, on going over the diamond, um, with your bends and everything. It's a hard bend when it comes to square stock. Um, you want to jig it up. I've done it with a hammer. It's a pain in the ass with a hammer, but it can be done. And it's just not feasible when you're working to make it look old to then turn around and make it look machined. So this is my go at the hooks. We're gonna get the pot rack done with Mark tomorrow, and it will be complete. That pot rack will be machined um, to the nuts. You know, all modern stuff, and then we're gonna throw it in the forge and rough it up a little bit. So, and these should just shine right up next to it. You won't even know the difference. They'll look really good. So, but that's it, guys. That's what I have for you today. I'm gonna go and finish these up. I got 5 more to do, and we're gonna get these things done and out the door, and we'll be live tomorrow around 8 o'clock um, down at Metalcraft Northwest here in Walla Walla, and we'll be doing the pot rack stuff. Now, that's if we have good internet. If we don't have good internet, what I'm gonna do is I will record this and then put it out as a video. So either way, you'll get to see the other side of what everybody thinks blacksmithing is these days. And, you know, it is going in a forge. It is, but it's going through a roll bender. There's grinders that are going to touch it up. We're going to use hydraulic punches to punch holes in it. I mean, and it's all going to be cold, you know. So blacksmithing is, by definition, the manipulation of ferric based materials. Ferric is iron, so iron based materials with heat and pressure. All right. So if you're cold bending stuff and cold pressing stuff and cold punching stuff, it's not blacksmithing, it's metal fabrication. So FYI, in the future, if you are out looking for metal work, don't go to a blacksmith and expect them to do what a metal fab does. Now, on the same hand, most, not all, because I'm not one of them, but most modern day blacksmiths are metal fabrication workers as well. So they go hand in hand, just not in my shop. And that is not because I don't have the space, because I do have the space. I could have done this here in my shop, but it wouldn't have looked as clean as the client wanted. So that's why I roped Mark into this, and because he can do it clean and he can do it in a couple hours. It was going to take me in my shop with my tools about 12 hours of work to do what we're going to do tomorrow in about 2 hours. So that is what metal fabrication does for you. It speeds up the process. It's another tool in a blacksmith uh, toolbox if the blacksmith wants to go that route. I personally have no desire to um, do collaring, but only do collaring to hide a weld that holds everything together. I just don't have a desire to do that. If I'm going to do hot collaring, I'm going to do hot collaring and heat shrink it on there, and that's what's holding it together. I'm going to put wedges and pins and do everything blacksmith wise that I can do to hold this thing together and hold it straight, just like they did in the past. They didn't have welders; they pinned it all together. We get our blacksmiths today; they do excellent work. Don't get me wrong, but they've gotten away from blacksmithing as a whole when it comes to um, the more traditional ways of doing things. Now, I'm also one of those things. If a guy had a welder like I have, he would never forge weld ever again. Because that's why what forge welding came about was that to attach pieces together and or to make something longer, stuff like that. So um, I just like doing it that way. I'm I guess I'm more artist than I am technician, and I like that aspect of blacksmith. And I'm not downgrading anybody who does it. It may sound like I am, but I'm not. I appreciate the work that guys like Mark and, put out, and I can appreciate the time and skill and that goes into that work. But it's just not for me, is what I'm saying. So if you come to me for a project, I will get it done. I just won't do it. I'll do whatever I can blacksmithing wise to add to the project, but it's going to go to Mark at Metalcraft Northwest, and he will do his thing. It'll be done quick, and it'll be, you know, in your hands, wham bam, thank you ma'am type of deal. But I'm always going to try and push the blacksmithing side to try and get as much smithing as I possibly can in the project. If it's a good 50% blacksmithing, I'll do it myself. I will put a little bit of welds into it, and because I'm half the project is blacksmithing, so it's not going to bother me too much. All right, so I'm gonna get to work. I'm gonna let you guys go, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Just move my camera out of the way here. Um, we're not gonna show you guys the rest of these because it's just the same crap over and over and over again. No sense in boring you with a bunch of stuff like that. So, okie doke. Ah, springtime. Woohoo! All right, everybody. I appreciate it once again. Thank you very much for all that watch this and listen to me ramble and talk. And I just want to reiterate that I'm not bad mouthing anybody who does using modern technology, um, like welders and cutting torches and stuff like that. I fully appreciate the skill that it takes, um, that person to do what they do, and uh, I can't forever say that if I had the opportunity to get all those tools that I wouldn't also use them in that manner. Um, it's just that I don't have those tools, and so I don't. There's no point in even trying to work in that manner. So just do what you have to do, and if you have those tools, keep on driving on. And that's why I go to Mark for stuff because he does all that stuff for a living, and he's good at it. And I appreciate the work he puts out. He's very meticulous. I can trust that if I give him a project, that it will be done exactly to what the customer wants, um, and that all parties will be extremely pleased with the outcome. And yeah, so but we'll get on the pot rack tomorrow, like I said, around 8 o'clock down at Metalcraft Northwest. If we can get the internet, I'm gonna have a hotspot on my phone to run my computer and everything on Wi-Fi. But I think we'll be good to go. So, all right, everybody, y'all take it easy out there. Stay safe, be well, and as always, forge on.